Everyone, it's April, and you know what that means. It's time for some April Fool What Ifs! The foolery has recently begun to shift. As a result, this is how we shall do things for this month. We're going to be showing you 4 stories instead of just starting the usual one. But the one that you like the best of the 4 will be converted into a full-time series. But for now, they will be simply 2-parters. Today we shall begin with something that has been long requested by various viewers in the comments and on the round table, surprisingly. And while this idea can be done seriously, we did have a pretty silly idea a while ago, haven't I? Which somewhat overshadows our ability to take this one completely seriously. Nevertheless, we hope you enjoy it. Our story takes place on Frieza Planet 79, shortly after Vegeta's return from Earth. Or, to put it another way, more bluntly, forcefully retreated with his tail between his legs, if he still had one. Qui was pleased because he had a minor rivalry with the prince, despite the fact that he was still stronger at this point. That, and he despised Saiyans for no apparent reason. He just did. Maybe because they appeared to him to be oafish brutes, so yeah, that was a good enough reason to hate them. They were also stupid enough to not notice what had happened to their planet, even now after all these years, after many chances to find out the truth or to simply ask somebody. Because Qui was well aware of what Frieza had done to that planet, to the Saiyan race and the homeworld, leaving only a few of the strongest to serve him specifically. Perhaps in another reality, the similarity would lead to Vegeta and Qui developing a mutual understanding and respect towards one another, but this was not going to be happening here. No. Not only was the prince defeated by a low-class Saiyan, which Qui understood was supposed to be some kind of crude way to rank his power, but he also lost both Raditz and Nappa, his underlings, reducing the number of monkeys in Frieza's servitude to just one, the prince. That meant his opponent was a complete and total failure. Everyone knew what happened to failures under Frieza. Qui then noticed that the prince was looking deep in thought as he exited his healing chamber, leaving his scouter with the scientists, which was unusual for those brutish monkeys. They were usually attached to those things 24/7. He decided to make fun of Vegeta's failure. After all, no one said he couldn't have some fun. "Oh my god, Vegeta! I heard you had a great time on planet Earth. Where have your lackeys gone, Oh, please don't tell me you lost both of them." "I don't know what to say to you, Qui. I don't have time to waste on idiots like you." Qui didn't let that brushing off and minor insult bother him, though. Instead, he firmly placed his hand on the prince's shoulder, doubling down on the efforts. "Wait a second, Vegeta. I thought I should let you know this. Frieza is not pleased with you or your attitude as of late." "Is that so? Perhaps Frieza should try and actually tell me in person, instead of you doing it for him." "Oh, you have a big mouth, don't you? But you're trying to bite more than you can chew, Prince. Again, you just don't get it, do you? Frieza is displeased with you." "Enough babbling! Tell me, where is Frieza right now?" "Oh, he took a little trip to, planet Namek." Qui smiled broadly. This was not the answer that Vegeta had wanted to hear, and Qui took pleasure in seeing Vegeta looking stressed. "Oh, did you hope to find those Dragon Balls first, Vegeta? I don't think you realize how inferior you really are. Frieza's going to track them down long before you can, gain immortality, and then destroy the planet." Vegeta was not paying attention to what Qui was saying at this point, and he began a mad dash down the corridor. He jumped towards the Saiyan pod and left the base as soon as he had received his scouter from one of the scientists. Interesting, thought Qui. Vegeta was indeed making a run for the Dragon Balls. Indeed, that needed to be reported to Frieza. And indeed, Qui was certain he would be the one who would do it, seeing what he stood to gain from pursuing a renegade Saiyan to boot. And just as he had predicted, he was given orders to hunt Vegeta down freely on Namek. So far, so good. But there was one caveat to all of this. One of the doctors treating Vegeta stopped Qui before he left. "Watch out, Qui! I know you were the stronger of the two for the longest time, but that may no longer be the case." "What? What exactly do you mean? Speak up! He lost on Earth! What changed?" The scientist let out a loud gulp. "Well, when we were treating Vegeta, we noticed a significant increase in his basal power based on his energy readings. When he came to, he was able to conceal it, reducing it himself, but the blood samples corroborate what we thought. It confirms that he has indeed grown more powerful since you last saw him. From what we can tell, it's a part of Saiyan biology. if they survive a life-threatening situation, they grow much stronger as a result of it. Qui looked at the scientist, puzzled. Well, how strong is he now? What does the scouter say about his power level? It's difficult to say based solely on the blood sample, but it could be on par with Dodoria. The doctor looked very nervous when he said that. Don't tell Dodoria I said that. That was not a good sign, thought Qui. This was already after Qui had accepted that Vegeta had survived. Okay, that was a bit of a downer, but still, Qui was more afraid of Frieza at this point, so he reluctantly boarded his ship and travelled to Namek anyway. If he couldn't take Vegeta out on his own, he could maybe entice the prince to go toe-to-toe with someone who could. Qui then decided when he got there to accompany Frieza on his mission to obtain the Dragon Balls, and actually do some grunt work, aiding Zabon and Dodoria in their quest for the orbs. He determined that undertaking in some heavy lifting and grunt work with gusto would keep him in the Emperor's good graces. Sure, Frieza did go on to notice all of this, but he wasn't buying this good grace wholesale. What did this guy want? And so, he decided Frieza to confront Qui about it after obtaining the first Dragon Ball. I admire your enthusiasm, Qui, but weren't your orders supposed to be looking for Vegeta solely? Yes, my lord. It's just that my surveillance hasn't yet turned up any evidence on him, and I didn't simply want to sit around doing nothing when I could be more useful in serving you and your finding of the Dragon Balls. Well, a very convenient answer, Qui. If I didn't know any better, I'd assume that you were afraid of me. But in this case, you are right. You may stay and assist. But if Vegeta gets in the way of my plans, I'll have your head for letting him run riot. Besides, he's not a serious threat in any way. Just a frightful annoyance. But he's your problem, not mine. Are we on the same page, Qui? Yes, without a doubt, my lord. Qui then went on to witness an Earthling attack Dodoria and fleeing with one of the locals as they visited village after village. Frieza then directed Dodoria to pursue those two Earthlings. Dodoria hadn't returned, which greatly peeved the Emperor, who then instructed Zabon to investigate Dodoria's disappearance. But Qui was a little bit unnerved by this, recalling something that the doctor had said to him about Dodoria's power level being the same as Vegeta's or something. Zabon interrupted the alien from his train of thought. Qui, you will accompany me in my efforts. If those humans have any tricks up their sleeves, we'll know what to do with them. They then came across Vegeta while scouting around Namekian villages. I see that someone has failed in their job. He was being mocked Qui by Frieza's right-hand man. Well, now that we have him, it's a good time to waste him. Well, who are we dealing with here? Would you like to share Dodoria's fate? Qui, though, played dumb. Don't tell me you, of all people, murdered Dodoria! Is that a lie you're attempting to sell us, Vegeta? Zabon was dubious about this revelation, but Qui was convinced that this wasn't a boast, that Vegeta had actually done it. I'd be cautious if I were you, Zabon. I have grown incredibly in strength. This was now not the time to be hiding things, though, from Zabon. He was on thin ice, Qui, so he did think about telling Zabon the truth, but the green guy was having none of it, and decided to challenge the prince anyway. As he transformed into his beast form, it was a good time for Qui, because Zabon beat the prince to a pulp and threw him into the lake as Frieza called him aboard the ship. Qui, just stay here and keep watch. If he resurfaces, shoot him. I trust your power level is on par with his. You should be able to do it, won't you, boy? When Zabon left, Qui was about to do what he was told, blinded by command. But then he remembered again what the scientist had told him about the Saiyans after having briefly forgotten in the chaos of Zabon beating him down. After suffering a potentially fatal injury, Saiyans became stronger. Sure, the mask of Zabon's dominance put paid to that for a moment, but he also overheard a conversation between Frieza and Zabon earlier, in which the latter told the former that he needed to question Vegeta about where he had hidden his Dragon Ball. Qui decided to show some initiative and plunged into the lake, grabbing the unconscious Saiyan, and was able to return to the Frieza ship with Vegeta still out cold, earning great praise from his boss. You see, Zabon, even Qui gets it. Never leave a Saiyan undisturbed. Make sure to keep an eye on Vegeta this time, Zabon. Qui, your task here is complete. I'm in a good mood today, so how does this sound toward you? You may return to Frieza Planet 79. Chop chop. Maybe my father could put you to use. Qui nodded, relieved that this was over and done with, and that He had survived a now stronger Vegeta. But he wasn't ready to go just yet, even though working with King Cold was actually a pretty cushy job. He was feeling quite frisky. He wanted to see how all this would end, or even better, sneak in a cheeky wish on the Dragon Balls. After being dismissed from Frieza's sight, Qui turned off his scouter and went into hiding for a while. It was fortunate that he did not attract any attention, since he wasn't a high flyer, at least not yet. From the shadows, he saw the Ginyu Force arriving on planet Namek, attacking everyone, and at some point, the Saiyan then beating down all of them. Qui's mind at that moment finally began to understand what he was seeing. Cogs were beginning to turn. These Saiyans just kept losing in order to get stronger. Oh, cheeky, cheeky. He could even see Frieza changing form from afar. Should he really be here? This fear was well founded. It came to a point where one of those Saiyans then began to fight Frieza on equal terms. This was the worst outcome. Qui realized he was way out of his league at this point. He made the decision, the quick, smart decision, to pursue a running away strategy. From what he could tell, those Earthlings and Earth Saiyans had their own set of Dragon Balls, based on Vegeta's original Scouter transmissions had implied. However, they had then lost the ability to use them, those Earthlings, after losing their Namekian Elder for some strange reason, according to the information they received from Raditz's Scouters as well. But if they brought the Elder back, the Dragon Balls would be usable again on Earth. And in the unlikely event that those goodies succeeded, Qui could use those Dragon Balls to bring Frieza back to life and gain favour. Wait a minute. Screw you, Frieza! Qui had the potential to become immortal himself! He could seize complete control of the Empire, yes! Qui, an Emperor. But if Frieza would survive, which was honestly more likely, he could just say that he was guarding the planet just in case he would return. Oh yes, that did sound nice. This felt like a plan that was bulletproof, no flaws whatsoever. Once he returned to Frieza's ship and his pod, Qui set a course for Earth and legged it. However, even with the insane speed of interstellar travel in Dragon Ball, Namek and Earth were quite a distance apart, so you can imagine Qui's surprise that when he arrived on Earth expecting no one to be there and him having a head start, he was immediately surrounded by the Dragon Team, led by Piccolo. Oh, so much for all that guff about sneaking around gathering Dragon Balls.
I hate to break it to you, but your boss is no longer alive, so hopefully you're not here to cause trouble, right?
How? How did they arrive here before him? The kid, the Namekian. Yeah, he recognized them from on Namek. Oh, he was also pretty certain that Namekian had actually gone toe-to-toe with Frieza in his second form. So his prospects, Qui, were looking bleak. Also, wait, Frieza was dead? So in the end, they were successful. Qui had to think of a plan fast. No! You got it all wrong! I'm done with Frieza! I was only looking for asylum? Asylum? Gohan repeated. He didn't seem convinced. Yes! I deserted the Freeza Force, that's all. And now that you've defeated Frieza, I realized that this is the safest place to be in. Still, the icy faces were looming over him. Keep away from King Cold! The Namekian replied.
Who's King Cold?
That's Frieza's father. He's just as strong as Frieza, if not more so. He may come here. The Dragon Team then looked nervous. I see. So maybe that's why Dad's not come home yet. He's going up against the king. Gohan appeared to be actually feeling a little better after hearing all of this. This is why his dad hadn't come back. Qui continued. Anyway, I'm tired of fighting. Totally. Obviously, I'd had enough of this whole killing thing too.
You're lucky that Vegeta's not around. He's talking about hunting down people like you.
Qui gulped. Did Vegeta survive?
We don't completely trust him either. But he decided to go after the last of the Freeza Force, so, yeah.
Surely he isn't strong enough to take on the king himself, but your father was the one who defeated Frieza, right? Qui turning to Gohan. Gohan giving a nod. Yep, he's a true Super Saiyan. So it was true, those legends, after all. The whole thing about the legendary Super Saiyan of legend. Qui went from having a brilliant plan to now no plan and him begging for his life. If the Namekian wanted to, he could have wrecked Qui in a second. And the kid was also quite strong. He couldn't see where the bald one was, but he could see others that he didn't recognize. This must be the rest of the squad. In the end, Qui was allowed to stay on Earth, on the proviso that he wouldn't do anything bad. That was vexing. he was unable to subjugate those primitives. The woman with the blue hair offered him living quarters though, and wanted to place Queen in the Namekians, but Qui then chose a more remote location to live. During his early days on Earth, he decided to learn more about their customs and culture, which was irritating, soft, and sentimental. But it did keep him safe from the wrath of Vegeta or King Cold. They also had a fairly strict monetary system too, which forced him to get a job. He could probably take over this planet on his own if he wanted to, if it weren't for their annoying defenders. It was also impossible to find the Dragon Balls too. Those blasted Earth Balls had some kind of cooldown, he found out. It would take like a whole year here before they could be used again. And according to hearsay, that Bumley girl kept using them for things. She always looked really healthy after using them too. But speaking of wishes, the Earthlings brought back the bald short one when they could. That was such a waste of time, Qui thought. No, he wasn't a fighter, he was a survivor. And if he had to survive here, he would overcome any obstacle, even if that obstacle was to be a desk job. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now until Friday. I'll see you there.